huge thanks to people like Adele and everyone else who've taken on the baton of raising awareness for mental health and for Heads Together particularly.
No one expected the tension to erupt in public. A single moment, a single remark, and everything changed. What happened next inside royal circles has left even senior insiders stunned. The moment that sparked outrage. It began with what many first dismissed as an ordinary public engagement. The setting was elegant but controlled, carefully arranged in the way royal appearances always are. Guests had gathered with quiet anticipation, aware that every movement, every expression, and every interaction would be observed and interpreted. The atmosphere felt familiar, almost predictable, shaped by tradition and years of practiced composure. Princess Anne was present, carrying the same calm authority that has defined her for decades. She moved with purpose, greeting attendees with measured warmth, never overextending, never performing for attention. Those who watched closely could see the quiet confidence that comes from a lifetime of service. She did not need to command the room. The room adjusted itself around her. Camilla was also there, composed and attentive, maintaining her usual careful balance between approachability and restraint. Close by, though not at the center, was her daughter. Her presence was noticeable, but not dominant, positioned within that delicate space occupied by those connected to the monarchy, but not bound by its full weight of duty. At first, nothing seemed unusual. Conversations flowed politely, smiles were exchanged. The rhythm of the event followed its expected course. But then something shifted. According to those who were standing near enough to hear, the moment came during a brief exchange. It was not announced. It was not dramatic in delivery. In fact, it was quiet enough that many in the room did not immediately register what had happened. But those who understood royal dynamics felt it instantly. Camilla's daughter made a remark directed toward Princess Anne. The words themselves, as described by insiders, were not overtly aggressive. They were framed casually, almost conversationally, but within them was a tone that did not align with the established order of respect that governs interactions within the royal family. It was the kind of comment that, outside royal circles, might have passed without consequence. But inside that world, context is everything. For a brief second, time seemed to slow. Observers noted a subtle change in Princess Anne's expression. Not a visible reaction, not a display of emotion, but something far more restrained. A slight pause, a moment of stillness, the kind of response that reveals awareness without inviting attention. Those nearby felt it too. Conversations faltered for just a fraction of a moment. A glance here, a shift in posture there. Nothing that could be captured in a photograph, but enough to signal that something unexpected had occurred. Princess Anne, however, did not respond in any obvious way. She did not correct the remark. She did not engage with it publicly. Instead, she continued as she always does, composed, focused, and seemingly unaffected. To an outside observer, the moment might have appeared insignificant. But inside royal circles, silence can carry meaning. Because Princess Anne is not known for overlooking breaches of protocol. She is known for recognizing them, assessing them, and choosing carefully how and when to respond. Her restraint in that moment was not a sign of acceptance. It was a sign of control. What made the situation more complex was the position of the person who made the remark. Camilla's daughter occupies a space that is both close to power and separate from it. She is not a working royal. She does not carry official responsibilities in the same way senior members do. And yet, her proximity places her within environments where those responsibilities are taken seriously. That proximity can be misleading. It can create the impression of equality where hierarchy still exists. And in a structure as defined as the monarchy, misunderstanding that hierarchy can lead to moments like this. Insiders suggest that those present immediately recognize the implications, not because of the words alone, but because of what they represented. A boundary had been approached, if not crossed. And in a system built on clearly understood roles, even the suggestion of such a breach carries weight. Camilla herself, according to some accounts, appeared aware that something had shifted. While she did not intervene publicly, there was a noticeable change in her demeanor, a heightened attentiveness, a subtle recalibration of focus. It was the kind of reaction that suggests an understanding of the delicate balance that had just been disturbed. As the event continued, the surface calm returned. Conversations resumed. Engagements proceeded as planned. To most attendees, nothing seemed out of place. The structure of the occasion held. The image presented to the public remained intact. But beneath that surface, the moment lingered. Because within royal life, incidents are rarely judged in isolation. They are interpreted within a broader framework of relationships, expectations, and long-standing traditions. And this particular moment raised questions that could not be easily dismissed. Was it simply a misjudged comment, spoken without full awareness of its implications? Or was it something more, a reflection of shifting attitudes, a sign that the boundaries which once felt unquestionable are now being tested? For those inside the palace, these questions matter. They shape decisions. They influence conversations that take place far from public view, and they determine how similar situations will be handled in the future. What is certain is that the moment did not go unnoticed by those who hold influence within the family. And among those individuals, one reaction in particular would soon become impossible to ignore. Prince William had been informed. Princess Anne's silent authority, tested to understand why that brief moment carried such weight. It is necessary to understand Princess Anne herself. For decades, she has existed as one of the most consistent figures within the royal family. While others have drawn attention through charisma, controversy, or reinvention, Anne has remained steady. Her identity has never depended on public approval or shifting narratives. Instead, it has been built on discipline, duty, and an unwavering sense of responsibility. She does not seek admiration. She earns respect. From a young age, Princess Anne developed a reputation for directness. She is known to speak plainly, to avoid unnecessary embellishment, and to approach her role with a seriousness that leaves little room for ambiguity. Over the years, this approach has defined her public image. But more importantly, it has shaped how she is regarded within the royal family itself. She is not simply a senior royal, she is a standard. Her work ethic is often described as unmatched. Engagement after engagement, year after year, she has maintained a schedule that would challenge even the most determined individuals. While others may step back or recalibrate, Anne continues. There is no sense of performance in her actions. There is only commitment. That commitment has earned her a unique position within the monarchy. She does not need to assert authority. It is already understood, which is why the incident at the public engagement carried such significance. When Camilla's daughter made that remark, it was not just a passing comment directed at a family member. It was perceived by those who understand the structure of royal life as a challenge to a figure who represents continuity and discipline at the highest level. And yet, Princess Anne did not respond. At least, not in any way that could be seen. There was no correction, no visible reaction, no shift in tone that might invite further attention. She continued her duties with the same composure she has always displayed. Her posture remained steady. Her expressions remained controlled. To an outside observer, it may have seemed as though nothing had happened at all. But within royal dynamics, such restraint is rarely accidental. Silence in this context is not passive. It is deliberate. Those who know Anne well understand that she does not ignore breaches of protocol. She registers them, she assesses them, and she chooses her response with precision. Her decision not to react publicly speaks to a deeper understanding of her role. A public response would have shifted the focus of the event. It would have created a narrative, invited speculation, and potentially escalated a situation that was, at that moment, still contained. Instead, she maintained control. That control is central to her authority, because authority within the monarchy is not always expressed through words. It is often communicated through presence, through consistency, and through an unspoken understanding of boundaries. Princess Anne embodies that form of authority. Her silence, therefore, was not a sign of weakness. It was a reinforcement of strength. It signaled that she did not need to engage in order to maintain her position, that her standing within the family was not dependent on immediate reaction, but on years of demonstrated reliability and discipline. However, that does not mean the moment lacked impact. Insiders suggest that those present were acutely aware of what had occurred. Even without a visible response, the significance of the exchange was understood. It created a subtle shift in the atmosphere, one that lingered even as the event continued. There is also the question of perception. Princess Anne has long been associated with a particular set of values: duty above all, respect for structure, a clear understanding of roles. When those values appear to be challenged, even indirectly, it raises concerns about how they are being upheld by others within the royal environment. For many observers, the incident highlighted a contrast. On one side, Anne represents a traditional approach to royal life, defined, disciplined, and deeply rooted in established expectations. On the other side, there are individuals whose proximity to the monarchy does not necessarily come with the same level of understanding or adherence to those expectations. That contrast can create tension, and in this case, it did. What makes the situation particularly sensitive is that Princess Anne rarely becomes the focus of controversy. She operates outside the cycles of attention that often surround other members of the family. Her stability has been one of her defining strengths. So, when she becomes the center of a moment like this, it carries additional weight. It disrupts the usual balance, and it draws attention to dynamics that are often left unexamined. There is also a generational aspect to consider. Anne's approach has been shaped by decades of experience within a system that values hierarchy and clarity. For those who have grown up within or around that system, these principles are instinctive. They do not need to be explained, but for those who exist on the edges of that structure, the boundaries may not feel as clearly defined. And when those boundaries are tested, even unintentionally, the response from those who uphold them becomes critical. In this instance, Princess Anne chose restraint. But restraint does not eliminate consequence. Because while she maintained composure in public, the implications of the moment extended far beyond the event itself. Within the royal family, respect is not optional. It is foundational. And any perceived challenge to that foundation is taken seriously. As the engagement came to a close, the visible signs of tension faded. The event concluded as planned. The public image remained intact. But behind that image, conversations had already begun. And among those paying closest attention to what had happened, one figure stood out: Prince William. Camilla's daughter steps into dangerous territory. Camilla's daughter has long existed in a unique and delicate position within royal life. She is close enough to the monarchy to be present at key moments, to observe its inner workings, and to share in its private spaces. Yet she does not carry the same weight of responsibility, nor is she bound by the same expectations that define the lives of senior royals. That distinction, while subtle, is crucial, because within the royal family, roles are not simply symbolic. They determine how one speaks, how one behaves, and most importantly, where one stands in relation to others. For years, Camilla herself has navigated this structure with careful precision. Her journey into acceptance was not immediate. It required patience, restraint, and an acute awareness of boundaries. Every public appearance, every statement, every gesture was measured against the expectations of the institution she entered. Her daughter, however, did not walk that same path. She entered royal spaces through proximity rather than obligation. And while that proximity offers access, it does not automatically grant authority. According to insiders, the remark directed at Princess Anne may have been rooted in that very misunderstanding. It was not necessarily intended as a challenge. It may not have been calculated or deliberate. But within the context of royal hierarchy, intention does not erase impact, because the monarchy operates on a framework where even casual interactions carry meaning. Those who are born into it spend their entire lives learning its unspoken rules. They understand instinctively when to speak, when to remain silent, and how to navigate the intricate balance of respect that defines every relationship. For someone positioned just outside that structure, those rules can be harder to read, and when they are misread, the consequences can be immediate. Insiders suggest that the moment was interpreted less as a personal remark and more as a breach of protocol. Not because it was loud or confrontational, but because it disrupted the expected order of interaction. Princess Anne, as one of the most senior and respected figures within the family, occupies a position that is rarely questioned. Her authority is not asserted, it is understood. So, when that authority appears to be challenged, even subtly, it creates a ripple effect. What makes this situation particularly sensitive is the connection to Camilla herself. Camilla's position within the monarchy has always required balance. She represents both continuity and change, bridging different eras of royal life. Her acceptance was built carefully, step by step, through years of measured conduct. Any disruption linked to her immediate circle risks unsettling that balance. And in this case, the disruption was public. Those present at the engagement may not have fully grasped the significance in the moment, but within palace circles, the implications were quickly understood. Because this was not just about a single comment. It was about perception of respect, perception of hierarchy, perception of how those connected to the monarchy understand their place within it. For Camilla's daughter, stepping into this environment without fully aligning with its expectations placed her in a precarious position, not intentionally, but undeniably. Royal life does not operate on assumptions. It operates on clarity. And when that clarity is absent, even briefly, it exposes vulnerabilities. The question now, among those observing closely, is not simply what was said. It is what the moment reveals. Does it point to a lack of awareness? Or does it suggest a broader shift in how royal boundaries are perceived by those on the periphery? For those inside the palace, these distinctions matter, because maintaining order within such a complex structure requires more than tradition. It requires understanding, and when that understanding falters, even for a moment, it can place individuals in territory that is far more dangerous than it first appears. William's breaking point. Behind palace doors, Prince William has spent most of his life learning how to control his reactions. From childhood, he has been trained to understand that every expression, every word, and every decision carries weight far beyond the immediate moment. He has grown into a figure defined by restraint, careful judgment, and a deep awareness of responsibility. But even the most controlled individuals have limits. According to insiders, the incident involving Princess Anne was one of those rare moments that tested William's composure. Not because it created a public scandal, and not because it disrupted a single event, but because of what it represented beneath the surface. For William, this was not simply about a remark, it was about respect. Princess Anne holds a unique place in his life. She is not only his aunt, but also a figure he has long admired. Her dedication, her discipline, and her refusal to be distracted by external pressures have shaped the way William views royal duty. In many ways, she represents the standard he believes the monarchy must uphold. So when that standard appeared to be challenged, even subtly, it struck a deeper chord. Sources close to the situation suggest that William was informed of the incident shortly after it occurred. The details were explained carefully, without exaggeration, but with enough clarity to convey its significance. And as he processed what had happened, his reaction was not immediate anger, but something more controlled and deliberate. A sense that a line had been approached and that it needed to be addressed. Behind palace doors, conversations began. These were not casual discussions. They were focused, direct, and shaped by William's growing role as the future leader of the monarchy. Because moments like this are not isolated. They are signals of how individuals understand their place within the institution. Signals of whether the structure that has defined royal life for generations is being respected or slowly eroded. William, according to insiders, approached the situation with clarity. He did not view it as a personal conflict. He viewed it as a matter of principle. There are expectations within the royal family that do not need to be written down. They are understood through tradition, through experience, and through the example set by those who came before. And when those expectations are not met, it creates a responsibility for those in positions of authority to respond. For William, that responsibility is becoming increasingly real. He is no longer simply preparing for the future, he is shaping it. Insiders describe a series of private meetings where the incident was discussed in detail. The tone of these meetings was described as firm but controlled. There was no theatrical display of emotion, no dramatic confrontation. Instead, there was a clear emphasis on boundaries. William made it known that respect for senior members of the family is not optional. It is foundational. This was not framed as a criticism of an individual, but as a reinforcement of the system itself. A reminder that proximity to the monarchy does not equate to equality within it. Those who are part of the institution carry responsibilities that extend beyond personal relationships. They represent something larger, and that representation requires discipline. What made William's response particularly significant was the precision with which it was delivered. He did not escalate the situation publicly. He did not allow it to become a source of external speculation. Instead, he contained it within the structures designed to handle such matters. But containment does not mean indifference. Sources indicate that William's position was unmistakable. Situations like this cannot be repeated. The boundaries that define royal interactions must be understood and respected by everyone who enters that environment. This approach reflects a broader shift in William's leadership style, where previous generations may have relied more heavily on tradition alone to maintain order. William appears to be taking a more active role in defining and reinforcing expectations. He understands that the monarchy operates in a modern context, where visibility is constant and missteps can be amplified quickly. As a result, he is placing greater emphasis on clarity. Clarity of roles, clarity of behavior, clarity of consequences. For some, this signals a move toward a more structured and controlled monarchy, one where informal dynamics are less tolerated and where the lines between official and unofficial roles are more clearly drawn. But such an approach also carries its own challenges, because reinforcing boundaries can create tension, particularly in a family where personal relationships are intertwined with institutional responsibilities. In this case, the connection to Camilla adds another layer of complexity. Camilla's position has been carefully established over time. Her acceptance within the family and by the public has required patience and consistency. Any situation involving her immediate family therefore carries additional sensitivity. William, according to insiders, was aware of this. His response was not designed to create conflict, but to prevent further complications. By addressing the issue directly and privately, he aimed to maintain stability while reinforcing expectations. It was a calculated decision, one that reflects not only his understanding of the present situation, but also his awareness of what lies ahead. Because as the future king, William will be responsible for guiding the monarchy through an increasingly complex landscape, a landscape where tradition must coexist with modern realities and where the margin for error continues to narrow. Moments like this, while seemingly small, serve as early tests of that leadership, tests of how he responds to challenges, tests of how he balances authority with diplomacy, tests of how he protects the integrity of the institution without allowing it to fracture under pressure. In this instance, William chose control, he chose clarity, and above all, he chose to draw a line, not loudly, not publicly, but firmly enough that those within the royal circle would understand exactly where it stands. The royal divide. No one can ignore. What began as a brief and contained moment has now taken on a broader meaning within royal circles. It is no longer viewed as an isolated exchange, but as a reflection of deeper tensions that have been quietly developing over time. The monarchy has always presented an image of unity, a family bound by duty, tradition, and a shared understanding of purpose. But behind that image, there have always been differences. Differences in perspective, in approach, and in how each member interprets their role within the institution. In most cases, those differences remain controlled. They are managed through discretion, through private conversations, and through a collective commitment to maintaining stability. But occasionally, a moment occurs that brings those differences into focus. This was one of those moments. At its core, the situation highlights a growing contrast between two ways of existing within the monarchy. On one side are figures like Princess Anne, who embody a traditional understanding of royal life. Her approach is defined by structure, discipline, and a clear respect for hierarchy. She represents a model that has remained largely unchanged for decades. On the other side are individuals whose connection to the monarchy is shaped more by proximity than by duty. Their presence within royal spaces does not always come with the same depth of experience or the same instinctive understanding of its rules. That difference can create a gap, and when that gap is exposed, even briefly, it raises questions about how the monarchy is evolving. Insiders suggest that the incident has prompted quiet reflection within the palace, not only about what happened, but about what it reveals. Because maintaining the balance between tradition and modern influence is one of the monarchy's most complex challenges. There is an increasing need to define who operates within the structure and how they are expected to behave. The lines that once felt clear are becoming more fluid, and with that fluidity comes uncertainty. For Prince William, this divide is particularly significant. As he prepares for a future role that will place him at the center of the institution, he is already encountering the realities of managing these differences. His response to the incident involving Princess Anne suggests a preference for clarity and structure, a belief that the monarchy must reinforce its internal boundaries if it is to remain stable. But reinforcing those boundaries is not always straightforward, because the royal family is not only an institution, it is also a family. And within any family, relationships are shaped by emotion as much as by expectation. The connection between Camilla and her daughter adds another layer to this divide. It brings together two different forms of belonging, one rooted in duty and tradition, the other rooted in personal connection. Balancing those forms is not simple. When they align, the system works smoothly. But when they clash, even in small ways, the effects can ripple outward. What makes this situation particularly notable is that it has revealed this divide without escalating into open conflict. There has been no public disagreement, no visible fracture, and yet, the underlying tension is clear to those who understand the dynamics at play. It is a reminder that the monarchy is not static. It is constantly adjusting, responding to both internal and external pressures. And moments like this, while subtle, can signal where those adjustments are becoming most necessary. The question now is not whether the divide exists. It is how it will be managed. The future of power inside the monarchy. As the immediate tension surrounding the incident begins to fade, a more important question remains beneath the surface. What does this moment reveal about the future of power inside the monarchy? Because within royal life, moments like this are rarely just moments. They are signals, subtle indications of how the institution is functioning and how it may need to adapt. For generations, the monarchy has relied on a clear structure. Roles are defined, expectations are understood. Authority flows through a system that has been reinforced over time by tradition and discipline. That structure has allowed the institution to remain stable, even as the world around it continues to change. But stability does not mean immunity from pressure. Today, the monarchy operates in an environment that is far more complex than it once was. Public attention is constant. Every interaction is observed, analyzed, and often interpreted beyond its original intent. This creates a situation where even small missteps can carry disproportionate weight. Within this context, power is no longer only about titles or formal hierarchy. It is also about perception, about how authority is expressed and understood in a modern world. Prince William stands at the center of this shift. As the future king, he is already shaping how the monarchy will function in the years ahead. His response to the incident involving Princess Anne reflects a leadership style that values clarity and control. He appears focused on reinforcing boundaries, ensuring that roles within the institution remain clearly defined. This approach suggests a recognition that the monarchy cannot rely solely on tradition to maintain order. It must actively define and protect its structure. At the same time, the situation highlights a growing challenge. The royal family now includes individuals whose connection to the institution comes through proximity rather than duty. Their presence brings new perspectives, but it also introduces uncertainty. Because proximity does not always come with understanding, integrating these different levels of connection requires careful management. It requires clear communication about expectations and a consistent approach to maintaining boundaries. Without that clarity, the risk of misunderstanding increases. The incident involving Camilla's daughter illustrates this risk. It shows how easily lines can become blurred when roles are not fully understood. And it underscores the importance of reinforcing those roles before small moments develop into larger tensions. For Princess Anne, the situation reaffirms her position as a steady force within the monarchy. Her response demonstrated that authority does not always require confrontation. It can exist quietly, sustained by consistency and experience. For Camilla, it presents a delicate balance. She must navigate the intersection between personal relationships and institutional expectations, ensuring that one does not undermine the other. And for William, it represents a defining moment, a moment that requires not only reaction, but direction. Because the future of the monarchy will depend on how effectively it can maintain cohesion while adapting to change. Power within the institution is no longer static. It is evolving, shaped by both tradition and modern influence. Managing that evolution will require precision, awareness, and a willingness to act when necessary. This moment, while subtle, offers a glimpse into the future, a future where authority must be both respected and clearly communicated. a future where leadership is measured not by visibility, but by the ability to maintain order within an increasingly complex system. And as that future begins to take shape, one thing is certain. The monarchy will continue to be defined not only by its traditions, but by how it responds when those traditions are quietly tested.